Hello again, this is Steve back at the shop. I want to finish up a video on some of the little details on this 54 Super H that I started out with here on the video series. I don't know if any of you guys noticed. Most of you probably already know this, but all International Harvesters castings had a date on them. If you can go on the internet and look up the date codes, which will tell you what year, date, and month that all these castings were actually made. For instance, the rear housing casting code on this particular tractor was 1217Y. Now that Y indicates 53, but this is in fact a 54 model tractor. These all these casting codes actually match on this tractor. There's some folks will argue with that, being as it says Y, that makes it a 53. If you'll notice, that's December of 1953 is when that was cast. From what I understand, there's a curing process of I don't know, a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, that these castings have to sit and cure before they can be used. They don't come they don't come hot off the press and get used the next day. So if you stop and think about it, a couple weeks after the 17th would have put you into 1954. Casting code, there's a Y code on the deck cover there. Only a couple I can get to real quick. Let's see, there's one. The engine block was cast the day before the others on the 16th of December. There's also, I don't know if I can show it here. Here we go. Right here, the engines have a serial number. This particular one is right under number 3 cylinder. You can look up the serial number on that engine. In the later tractors, they didn't try to match the serial numbers to the data tag, serial number tag. I don't know why they quit that. I guess it was too much of a headache, but that particular number indicates it's a 54. And then of course that's the engine size under showing under number 4 there, in case you're curious. The part number for the block, the R number on the Super H, it's actually the same block as on a 300. Basically the same engine as on a 300. There might be 1 or 2 modifications here and there, but you can drop a 300 engine in a Super H or an H, and vice versa. They'll all pretty much just bolt up. Big difference is 300s had dipsticks, and the old H and Super H still had the old distillate type configuration. There's another video that can be done, I guess, on its own about why there's 2. But it's pretty much suffice to say that there's a quart of oil difference between this one and this one, without going into any detail about draining off the draining off the kerosene that might have seeped into the engine and how they would drain it down and all that stuff. We'll leave that for another video. But anyway, there's something I wanted to point out on the backside here. This tractor has got a little gizmo here that's lovingly referred to as an overrunning coupler or an overrunning adapter. These old letter series tractors did not have a live PTO. That PTO drove straight off the engine. When you engaged it and you let the clutch out, it's running. Whenever you push the clutch in, the momentum of whatever you were operating will actually push the tractor forward. I've almost learned that the hard way. What this does, it isolates. I don't know if you can hear that click. Let me come around here. You notice the difference? The PTO shaft is not turning. So when if you're using bush hog, for instance, you push in the clutch and you stop the tractor, the bush hog is still spinning down. The momentum is still spinning the bush hog. Well, the momentum now it just spins the coupler. The coupler takes the momentum away from the tractor. If that wasn't on there, the momentum from the bush hog would keep pushing the tractor. And I almost went through a building before I learned that. One of those hard lessons. Had a what we refer to in the Army as a pucker factor of about a 9.9. All right, there's something else I want to point out here too. I made these, of course, this aftermarket 3-point hitch came with these chains. Are supposed to be motion limiters to keep you from getting too much sway. They're marginal. I put some hooks on it. I made these catches. I took some old bolts, some old strap-on duals, or 4 strap-on duals. I had a whole bunch of these, but I didn't have enough to make put a complete set of duals on a tractor, and some of them had the threads were stripped out of the eyelets here. So what I did was I cut them down, welded them on a couple bolts there, and they work out really nice to hook my limiters to. Worked out really well. All right, guys, that'll do for this little short video. I think, unless I can think of something else. Oh, there is one other thing I wanted to mention before I took off, if I hadn't put you to sleep yet here. This particular tractor came with the starter. These 54s, they had the actuation switch on top of the starter itself. They didn't have the, like the old H's, some of them had basically a bolt that ran through here to a push button switch that went there. Or they didn't have the little box switch that went up here. You have to come up with this gizmo right here. They came up with this business here. And I actually made this thing. I took this piece from an aftermarket deal that it had a blade that came in and pushed the button that was here. Well, I took all that off and I made this. I tried to mimic the original as much as possible. Well, took it off, welded this piece, made this rod to come down to actuate the thing here. So I mean, it works out really well. You just push it down. It's not 100% exactly like the original, but it's pretty darn close, and it works great for me. So, practical solution to a problem. All right, guys, appreciate it. Come back next time. Thanks.